little bit of a battle. This is Paul Wildridge. Is this finally it? Almost banging doors down the chemistry.
Paul's getting aggressive. He tried to pinch him down. And the 24's in the wall. They're going to wreck and across the line. Who even has it? It is the 24. Turner somehow takes the win.
Andrew Waring boxing in Warling as they go through there. Andrew Waring's going to try and make it around the first turn safely. It's going to be almost 3 wide as they go up the corner. It is 3 wide as they go up towards turn 2.
Great move by Pete Herod, sensing the opportunity there. Great car control by the two drivers, banning wheels. It's not something you normally get away with in an open wheel car, but Pete Herod to the lead, still 3 wide all the way through Druids.
Gives him another shove. Things are getting rough, and now they come together fully as that happens behind them. Suddenly catching up. Here comes Devin Horvath into the mix.
Is he going to try to go the long way here around Bruxelles? I think he is. Almost contact there as that was Phil trying to get a little bit wide. Carrying the momentum around the outside is Paul Wildridge. He's going to dive it down into No Name, and he's got the position for now.
10th overall. Whoa, he spun! And Edwards is spun. Can he get at the line? No, he can't. Bolton snatches it up at the last moment. Taking advantage. It's rare you can see passes through here side by side. Probably not going to end well as they come together and cutting back underneath. 3 wide through this corner. This does not look good. This does not look good. They're still going to manage to hold on to it. And Nick Kuhn around the outside keeps that position.
They're going to try and pincer move him here, going 3 wide into turn 3. Goodness me. 3 wide through the turn. Bradley Holly has to back out of it. No, he goes for a spin and he's around.
He's to the inside and tries to shut the door, but it is way too late as the 7 has nothing for him except to brake extremely late down into Andretti. Try to go the long way around to defend, and he might have this one back. Round the outside, Ove Trangrade finds a little bit of grip, but he falls behind. Topi Kortaniemi has a nose ahead, tries to cover up, but the car is back there once again. Trangrade inside of turn 2. The battle carries on the last lap of the race for the lead here in round 6. And out of turn 3, Topi might have it done. No, he gets pinched down. Trangrade back up to the front. It'll be hard to top the finish at Chicago with 4 cars tumbling across the line of the checkers. But Bristol has a way of bringing out wild races along with the tempers. With the number of winners now grown to 6 and only 2 of them inside the top 10 in points, could we get another surprise? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Outsider Racing League. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Pekin. With me in the booth is Joey Tebbin. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bristol is often referred to as the last great Coliseum. To see where the chariots will be racing tonight, let's head to our track guide.
Welcome to Bristol, the last Coliseum, Thunder Valley, the world's fastest half mile. A driver once described racing here as flying a fighter jet in a high school gymnasium. And after a few laps in the seat, you certainly grasp just what they were talking about. Just over a half mile in distance means that Bristol is one of the shortest tracks that the premier cars on the surface race on. But the 30 degrees of banking in the corners is greater than every track out there except Daytona and Talladega. Using the same technique that other tracks around the country have used, back in 2007, Bristol went to a progressive banking model in the corners. 24 degrees of banking at the bottom lane of the track with 30 degrees up there scraping against the fence. Bristol is also one of the last Premier Series tracks to have 2 separate pit roads. Each straightaway is just over 800 feet long, so you don't get a lot of time to react in the seat. especially considering the fact that you sail up into the corners at 130 miles an hour. Bristol always keeps drivers on edge. Some drivers even claim that they lose orientation while driving here because the front stretch and the back stretch are so similar to each other. In racing, they say in order to finish first, you must first finish. I don't know if they were thinking about Bristol when they came up with that expression, but by golly, does it fit here. All in all, drivers, fans, and even commentators alike all love the Bristol Motor Speedway. This has been our guide to Bristol Motor Speedway. Now strap in and enjoy.
Well, Joey, it's something where I assume I could pretty much just introduce this place with 3 words. It's Bristol, baby.
It is indeed Bristol, and there's not much you can compare it to. We ran Dover earlier this season, which is probably the most similar, but even Dover is twice as long as this place. It's only half a mile, heavily banked. Lots of carnage and drama is what we usually see here. Honestly, it's like a mix of Martinsville and Dover, which we've both driven, so these drivers have experience on both of them, but they don't have experience in the next gen at Bristol, or at least much experience. So, as usual with every week, it's going to be a new experience, and hopefully it'll be a good race.
Yeah, looking forward to it at the least. And, well, if we take a look at the championship right now, it's, again, an interesting situation. Chad Klinger currently up at the top, and he's starting to pull himself a little bit of a gap down to Ray Massey and Zach Halpern. You've got only 2 points spreading those two for second place. Another little bit of a gap down to Ben Laughter, who's trying to play catch-up there in fourth. And just a little less than 10 points back to Casey Lakatos to round out your top 5. And again, the only one who has won amongst these 5 that you see on your screen is Chad Klinger, who's leading the points. So we'll see how that changes after today. Before we get to anything for that, let's head to our track details, our race details rather. And Joey, why don't you run us down what the drivers are up against tonight?
Well, avid viewers of the Outsider Racing League, it'll look pretty similar to every other week. 200 laps, of course, the odd one out. We haven't run that many in quite a while, but it's only half a mile here, so we got a lot of laps to run. Fixed setup, 5 tire sets, no spare car. I haven't heard much about tire wear so far today, so I don't know if they're going to use all 5 tire sets. I think the tire wear might be a little bit more extreme than it was at Chicagoland last week, but I'm not sure. And also, it's another Dash for Cash race. So the winning drivers guaranteed $20. The second place driver guaranteed $10. The third place driver guaranteed $5. And the winner, if they finished in the top 5 last week, which only 3 of them appear to be here today, if they win, they get an extra $50 on top of that.
Well, and you mentioned Dover a little bit earlier as far as one of the few tracks with some similarities to here. The other thing that it shares, not just the banking, but the track surface. And the reason I bring that up is if we look at the temperatures, it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit on the track right now, but the sun is going down. So I have to imagine that concrete going to give away a lot of that temperature pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not as hot as it could be right now because the sun is going down. I think it's, oh, Jeremy Miller just killed someone on our screen, but the sun, I think it's behind the grandstands right now. If it isn't, it will be behind the grandstands in the near future. And as the sun goes down, it's going to get darker, it's going to get cooler, and that'll be better for the drivers. It'll be less slippy, less slidey, and most importantly, less tire weary. But they're getting all their practice in the daytime, so they'll have to adjust once the sun goes down to almost a whole new track surface. And if they can adapt to that, they'll be in good shape. But if they can't, if they get stuck in this track surface, they're going to be a little bit in trouble.
And speaking of being in trouble, this is a track that has such a unique bit of banking with the progressive banking around here, Joey. So I kind of wonder, will it be a case of high line is the way to go? Will we see both of them open up? It's fixed setup in these cars, so everybody is, on the same playing field in that sense. But I'm curious what this setup will lend itself to in terms of the racing.
Well, I haven't been able to see much in terms of side-by-side racing in practice here just because it seems like it's a lot of one-car runs. But the 27 and the 09 here, Zach Carr and Chad Klinger, they might be our first couple guinea pigs on screen here. we'll see if Klinger's able to maybe get to the outside of Carr, because when the sun goes down and it gets a little bit cooler, I don't know. Maybe the high line will work. The progressive banking always helps here at Bristol, but like you said, it's a fixed setup race, and with fixed setup races tends to come single groove races. But we'll have to see as the race develops. Klinger, we were robbed of a battle there, unfortunately, but hopefully in the dying 7 minutes 30, we might see somebody try and demonstrate the high line first. But as of now, I think it's an unanswered question, and they're just going to have to go for it in the race to see if it works.
Yeah, definitely. And drivers have been putting plenty of practice in. Zach Carr currently has the fastest lap in the warm-up, with Jeremy Miller behind him by about 0.03 of a second. With such fast speeds around such a short track, it's going to be narrow margins around here. But how important is that track position going to be? Is this something where it's less about the track position and more kind of a Daytona Talladega situation where you want to stay out of trouble and not be in the mid-pack? Or is that clean air going to be something that will be valuable just because nobody's going to be able to get by you?
Well, inherently the safest place to be is at the front, because if you don't have any cars in front of you, or you've got the whole field behind you, you're probably not going to be getting involved in any sort of pileups or carnage or any sort of that. So being up front is really where you want to be. Track position is important, and it's also important for survival.
All right, so who's going to get the track position? Because they've now switched over to the qualifying session here. First few drivers out on the circuit. And we're watching the 30 of Jeremy Miller right now. Looks like he's on his first flyer as he just crossed the line. Comes down out of 3 and 4. Let's see what it's going to be as he gets one on the board, a 14.242. That's the measure that everybody else is going to have to try and stack up to here. Zach Carr can't manage to go quicker, but it looks like Welker and Klinger do on their first laps. Tim Downey Jr. just shy of the 30.
Nobody going as fast as they did in qualifying just yet. Zach Carr was able to break down into the 13.9s in practice, only a 14.0. I say only. It's a pretty darn quick lap time, and he's probably going to be able to stick on pole there. All of his rivals, everyone who was close to him in practice, has not been able to get anywhere near him. So Zach Carr probably going to be safe up there. Ray Massey might have a shot at it if he can improve a little bit from his practice time. He had a 14.09, so if he can dig 0.08 of a second out here, he might have a shot. Not quite.
14.1 for Massey and the 23. That'll at least get him on the outside of the second row as he comes around for his second lap. Let's see what it is. 14.172, 5 thousandths faster. That's not going to be enough.
But it will put him in 4th place. So it's not the best lap time, but it's pretty good. It's a lot of spread in this qualifying session, which is interesting. They were a lot closer in practice, but I guess some drivers just need a couple laps to get themselves together. Jeff Wright here running the high line here on this qualifying lap, which is interesting on his first lap. It's a slow first lap because he was running that high line. Is that going to give him much of an advantage? I'm not sure, because he wasn't very fast up there. He almost drove it into the wall. Running an interesting sort of middle of the road line here, and as he comes to the line, he does pick up 0.2, but unfortunately that first lap didn't do all that much for him because he's still in 8th.
And Ben Lafter is the last of them with a time, currently down in 14th. And everybody out on track has set all 4 of their laps, as Jeff Wright says hello to the barrels at the beginning of the tire barrier, or the pit barrier rather. And Finian Dacuna looks like he's coming out of pit lane. Well, he's in the middle of the pit lanes. That's something we haven't touched on yet. This is the single pit lane version that they are running tonight, by the way. So they're going to have to go through both pit lanes if they want to stop. And that's why you see him coming down through 3 and 4 on the apron there as he comes to a halt eventually into his pit stall. So that obviously will play into how they want to try and do their strategy out here today, and also needing to pay attention and make sure you go in the right place.
Yeah, it's always difficult, whether it's a double pit road or a single pit road at Bristol. It can get confusing if you're not listening to your spotter, if you didn't search out where your pit box was beforehand. It is very difficult, and it's very easy to enter at the wrong entrance, get a penalty for that, exit at the wrong exit, and get a penalty for that. So I trust that these drivers have been able to figure that out, but it's still always tricky. There's still 4 drivers left who haven't set a time. Dylan Butler isn't even in the session, so I don't know if we're going to see him, but with 45 seconds left, that'll be the limit to when you can go out. And Clifton Cockrell, he knows that he's not got much time left. He goes out. Does Casey Lakatos go out? Does David Mott Jr. go out? No, looks like Clifton's going to be the last one.
So he should have enough time for at least 1 lap. I don't know if he can get both of them in. It'll be tight. Yes, it looks like he will, because he starts at a little over 30 seconds, and they're running 14-second laps here. So he'll have just a few to spare. Let's see if the Texas driver can get himself into a decent starting position. 14.4 is not phenomenal. That'll put him in 12th. He swings around for the second try, running that middle line we were seeing a few drivers do before. And it is going to be a 14.453. That is not faster, so he'll stay in 12th place. He's the last one, and that now takes us to our starting grid. Zach Carr on the pole here tonight with Jeremy Miller starting P2. Mitchell Welker will be in 3rd. It's Ray Massey in 4th position with Chad Klinger starting 5th. Zach Halpern starts in the 6th spot, and the next row has Tim Downey Jr. to the inside and Jeff Wright to the outside. Finine DeCuna will be on row 5, and Nolan Hodgson will be flanking him starting 10th.
Then in 11th place, in the number 59, it's the spooky Evan Adams with Clifton Cockrell to his outside. Matthew Close, Caleb Weekly, Ben Lafter were the final drivers to set laps in qualifying. Then Casey Lakatos, David Mott Jr. will join us at the back of the grid. Dylan Butler, he's nowhere to be found. We probably won't see him in the race. This would have been his first race of the season, but for one reason or another, it'll be a 17-car field.
Speaking of spooky, I wonder if we could get a close-up of Matthew Close's car, because I hope it's got the same paint that I'm seeing, and yes, it does. There you go. It's a very appropriate. It is the eve before Hallows Eve here, and he has decided to make sure that he is nice and scary for tonight. We'll see if that spooks anyone off the racing line and allows him to get some positions here today. But we're waiting for the pace car to take off and lead them around for their 2 pace laps. And then we are on our way for 200 laps of racing here tonight.
And if we got a couple seconds before they leave the grid, there's a couple spooky liveries on the grid. Mitch Welker, you can see the bright orange there. It's some kind of Fanta promotion, Fanta-stick Halloween at World of Coca-Cola. So there's your Fanta pun and a Halloween car. So he's got the 2-in-1 special there. And Evan Adams, hopefully his paint loaded. I'm not seeing it on my screen, but he was trying to run an orange car. Unfortunately, it looks like it hasn't gone through. So the ghost of trading paints has haunted Evan Adams. He doesn't have his Halloween livery on there, but there's a couple orange cars, and also there's those bright green cars for those Dash for Cash drivers.
Yes, indeed. If you want to know who is eligible for that Dash for Cash, look for those bright green numbers on the sides or the roof of the car, and you'll know that they are looking for a victory or potentially second or third to get just a little bit less here this evening. As we come around on the second lap, Zach Carr in the 27 will lead the way. And Carr is one of our winners so far this season. He comes in to this round 14th in the points. A victory would do good to be the first repeat. Try and shoot up the order. Let's see, the pace car should be diving in. There it goes. And there was a mistake. A car apparently getting wheel spin or something, having to catch it, and Jeremy Miller immediately jumps into the lead. Ray Massey on another bad exit from Zach Carr as the car looks horrible off the turns.
Zach is all over the place. I wonder if he's not used to running down in the bottom because he's just getting swallowed up on that high line. Welker gets by as well. I hope Jeremy Miller isn't going to get a penalty for jumping that because he didn't. Zach Carr just, it was an awful start. It was a nightmare of a start. And Jeremy Miller, he didn't have to do much to take advantage of, but he did, and he's got the lead now.
We had a first run-in with the wall. Chad Klinger bouncing off the inside as he started to lose it. No caution, though. It stays pointed forward, but our points leader jumps back to 16th with that one. Right now, Miller leads ahead of the 23 of Ray Massey, who's trying the low line up high. The 76 of Mitchell Welker is seeing what high, wide, and handsome does for him. Same thing now with Miller, who's switching it up.
We're not seeing much of it because the caution hasn't come out, but Caleb Weekly, Chad Klinger, they've all done the same thing. They've lost the car on exit as we transition from the banking to the straights. The straights are still banked, but they're less banked than the corners. And as they ride over that transition, a bunch of the drivers are just losing it. It's similar to Martinsville, where the drivers just, some of these guys just don't seem to have control of the car as they're going over the transition. But luckily, most of them have learned their lesson from those first couple laps, and Caleb Weekly hasn't. He spins to the inside wall, but he was able to disconnect before he hit the inside wall, so there's not going to be a caution, but 7 laps in, and Caleb Weekly's already done.
So he stayed green. You could see Massey managed to get inside of Miller a couple laps, but was not able to get the momentum. Looks like Miller's going to switch back to the low line now, not liking how he leaves that lane open. The 76 repeatedly running up against the wall, seeing if that'll give him enough to get the shot. So far, nothing doing. Carr, whoa, I was just about to say Carr's recovered, but then he lost it out of 4. He hit the wall. He falls to the bottom of the track, and it looks like he's coming into pit lane, actually. Nope, he is going to stay out.
Or is he waiting for the other entry to pit lane? Maybe he doesn't know where he's going, but either way, I wouldn't give up now because we've still got 190 laps to run. A lot can happen at Bristol especially, but here comes Zach Carr. Nope, he misses pit entry again. One of these days he's going to find it. Maybe he doesn't know where he's supposed to go in, but either way, this is disastrous. It was already a disastrous start to the race for Mr. Carr, but it's getting even worse now.
Yeah, I think he did miss it, because now he had it in and he's parked it. Oh, well, it makes it a bit of a moot point, but we do have a replay on the beginning to the race on that race start for Zach. And I think I'm waiting to see if Welker actually gets something here, because that orange and black machine has been repeatedly trying that high line. Yeah, it looks like we got time here for the replay. Watch the 27 there.
I wonder, does he actually clip the apron on the bottom there?
I don't think so.
No, he doesn't. He just got in the throttle too hard and literally fell down the banking. So did not help him whatsoever. And then he was just stuck on the bottom. Or he wasn't stuck on the bottom. He was clear of Ray Massey, but then he loses it again on exit. Loses all that momentum. So Massey gets by him. And then I think for the 3rd corner in a row, he gets a wiggle again. And then Mitch Welker gets around him. So that's just what can happen. You can get in that endless cycle of making mistake after mistake after mistake, and you can't get back in line until it's too late.
Massey made a mistake. The 23, the latest victim here, as he nearly hits the inside wall. Not sure if he actually clipped it. And, well, now that time he did. And that's our first caution of the day. The 48, for some reason, looking slow. Did he have a similar problem? Another driver that just doesn't agree with the corner exits. This fixed setup is looking a bit diabolical off the corners.
There was Massey. Massey actually didn't hit the wall on the inside, and he recovered. But Jeff Wright he did the same thing. He lost it on the transition, and unfortunately, he wasn't so lucky. He slammed into the inside wall. He's out already. He disconnected, so he's our latest casualty. It's strange because all these leaders, well, I say that Ray Massey made the mistake, but Jeremy Miller's been fine. Mitch Welker's been fine, but Massey just catches the transition in a weird place, in a place he wasn't used to. He saves it. He doesn't hit the inside wall, which is solid car control. But
watch this, though. He tries to get going, and it spins out on him, just trying to accelerate away.
Oh, dear.
That time he did hit the wall. The second event, unfortunately, gave him a little bit of damage. Massey, of course, is in pit lane now, trying to get that repaired. Klinger, Lakatos, Mott Jr. is in. Carr is still stuck down in his pit stall. And as you mentioned earlier, Jeff Wright and Caleb Weekly are also out. Oh, wow. This has been eventful, and we're only going to be 20 laps in here pretty soon. Yeah, just crossed into 20 laps into this race. Now, we haven't talked about it a whole lot yet, though we saw it on the race details. They only get 5 sets of tires. We did see some going on to Ray Massey there, as he has elected to take one of his sets. Now he'll be able to change a couple more times. That's 5 sets, including what they began on. So he now only will have 3 left.
Yeah, I don't know why he took tires there if we've only run a couple laps, but I mean, he knows something we don't. Clearly, he's still in the pit lane. Chad Klinger's still getting damage fixed. They're all going to leave here. Ben Laughter's going to come in. I think he might have missed it the first time around, so Laughter's going to come in here. And who's still in the pits? Laughter just got in. Zach Carr still in the pits getting his car repaired. He's 8 laps down. But everybody else, the top 9 on your screen, they haven't pitted, and I don't see any reason for them to pit because they don't have any damage. But cars that don't have damage that did pit are Casey Lakatos, Ben Laughter, and David Mott Jr. So they might be the ones to watch if, by some miracle, after 19 laps, these tires have already fallen off to a meaningful extent.
All right. Miller still your leader, even though he did not start on the pole. He's been holding on to it solidly. Welker behind him, also in second, but started from third. Are we going to go double file here? Yes, it looks like lights are off on the pace car. All right, let's get ready to get restarted on lap 23.
Before we go green here, just a quick update on Caleb Weekly. Apparently, as he slid down to the inside wall after losing the car, his computer crashed, and that's why he got disconnected from the session. So that's a strange instance, but I guess that comes with being a next-gen car. He hit it at the wrong angle, and it just killed his iRacing. That's unfortunate for him. Maybe we'll see him back in the session. Maybe we won't, but bad news for Caleb Weekly.
Well, I mean, it saved him the embarrassment of wrecking the car and having to sit and get it repaired as we go green once again. And Miller, wow, a fantastic shot on the line. Welker has no answer. Tim Downey Jr. now in third, as there's a little bit of a battle between Halpern and DeCuna, but it looks like Halpern's going to come away with that one and retain the 4th spot. Very single file, very quickly.
Yeah, Jeremy just caught everybody sleeping on the start there. It was strange. Everybody was just sitting for like a full second after he got going. So that's why Mitch Welker is like 10 car lengths behind him. Tim Downey Jr. couldn't capitalize either. Sounds like there's a little bit of trouble with Nolan Hodgson. He's out of control a little bit, sliding in that Tide car. He's going to fall all the way to the back of the field here. Hasn't hit anything, but Hodgson is not looking very comfortable back there.
Yeah, he fell the very last place when on the straightaway the car got a little fishtail happy. So he had to catch it and gave up a ton of momentum. But as we watch DeCuna running the high line there, as those around him have decided for the low line. Nope, not anymore. Looks like the 28 of Cockrell is going to switch back up to the top. But look at that. The 23 of Ray Massey is on his recovery now, and he's up to 7th.
And if there was ever a track where damage didn't matter all that much, of course, Martinsville, we saw it being the case there, but Bristol too. There's high speeds, there's a few short straights, but clearly Ray Massey's pit crew has done a good job to fix whatever's wrong with that car, and he is carving his way through the field like a pumpkin, and he's just disposing of everybody. He's making that bottom line work in a way that I haven't seen anybody else do all race.
But is he using up his stuff early on? Remember, he did put new tires on, and that's probably helping too. But I'm sure they're getting chewed up pretty quickly here as he goes underneath DeCuna, who I think scraped the wall that time through 1 and 2.
Yeah, he got a little bit too high. He has a tendency for doing that, and unfortunately at Bristol, if you get high, there's a wall there. He has a great save from Finney in that time, though, but he might be getting a little bit hot under the collar after tapping the wall there. got to make sure those tires don't overheat, because you're going to be doing what a bunch of drivers have done so far this race, and you're going to be slipping for about 4 laps straight. And it looks like he's got it under control. Hopefully.
It does seem like the cars are pretty loose on exit, so I wonder if that high line is going to be the way to go, just so that you're not cranking the steering wheel quite as much down to his bottom side. That is the car of Cockrell there in the 28. He's got Matthew close behind him as well. And we're starting to go 2 by 2. It is a Noah's Ark here in the midfield.
Clifton Cockrell's doing a great job here of marching his way up through the field. We've only lost 3 drivers, and he started ahead of a couple of them. So he's gone from 12th to 7th on pure pace. So well done to Clifton Cockrell. Making up, commentator's curse. There it is.
Looks like Laughter gets involved in it. Close catches him. And I think Klinger got a big piece of it. Lakatos maybe a little bit of contact.
And that's what happens at Bristol. 2 cars sideways, and it's a complete track blockage.
We need to watch the 50 on this replay. This was some of the smoothest avoidance I have seen in some time. There's the sheer dumb luck of a lot of drivers, but this was just picking his way through in the most clinical of ways. Look at that. Look at that.
Definitely some luck involved there, but Casey Lakatos, he knows how to keep his nose clean, so well done to Casey here. You can see the 2 cars ahead. There was actually a little bit of net code, so that wasn't, I wouldn't really place the blame on either of those 2 drivers. I think they would have been okay, but Casey Lakatos, that is the pro of using your brakes when there's an accident in front of you, because you can navigate your way through that hole. And fantastically done by Casey Lakatos. A couple other drivers like Clifton Cockrell on your screen there can't quite say the same. But look at this, on exit. It'll be the next exit, actually. Clifton goes up just a little bit too high, is what I originally thought, but there was room there. But the air just turns him. Ben Laughter gets quite a bit of it. Chad Klinger. Did Evan Adams get any of it? No, he made it through, but that's at least 4 or 5 cars that are going to be heavily damaged there.
Well, we kind of expected that here at Bristol, if we're honest. But, okay, Jeremy Miller stays out, Welker stays out, and Massey stays out. But everybody else behind has come into pit. Well, this will be telling. We're now 39 laps in, with maybe just a handful of them not under green flag racing. So will we see a significant drop in pace? Massey seemed to have a little bit of an advantage with only 20 laps underneath him, Joey. So I'm thinking this actually might be the wrong call for the 30 and the 76.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part of being the leader of the race, or the leading couple of cars in the race, because on one hand you can kind of control when people are going to come in, but if you don't come in, the rest of the field can come in right behind you, and you got nothing to do there. If the 17 cars behind you all come in, you can't really pit and get behind all of them, because that won't be worth it. So these two, they're gonna have to live with their choice here and just hope that they can hold back the armada of 15, 16 cars that are about to be coming up behind them here.
We saw Hodgson get a lap back, it looked like. So he will cycle back around, but Close, Smott Jr., Cockrell are all a lap down, many of them involved in that last incident. So some of them might lose a bit more here. So are we going to get lights out as we go by the start finish line? Yes, we are going racing next time by, being once again led by Jeremy Miller. And we're going to restart on lap 42.
Again, Jeremy chooses the high line. It clearly worked out for him last time out, but Mitch Welker, Tim Downey, they're going to have to not get caught sleeping here this time, because if Jeremy pulls another 10-car length lead, he's going to be in a good spot. So hopefully Mitch has learned, Tim's learned, Ray Massey's learned, and they can stick with Jeremy a little bit more this time.
All right, pace car is in. Jeremy last time jumped them, and he's going to do it again. He has got this one timed to perfection. The 76 just slots into line. In fact, continues up on the high side. Everybody behind on fresh tires, but it looks like that won't mean much if he can't control it. DeCuna hits the inside wall.
Looks like a big old scrape on the left side of Finian's car there, but it shouldn't be too badly damaged. I think he'll be okay. Just keep it rolling back there. But Ray Massey, here you see, he's not on new tires. He's on newer tires than these leaders, but he's on 23-lap-old tires compared to 44 up front and 5 behind. So he's in an interesting island here. He's got to navigate through these two front runners before everybody else swallows him up.
And whereas he made some quick progress before, doesn't seem to be helping at this stage. Oh, he's getting underneath the 76 though. And into the wall goes Welker. Just a slap coming out of turn 2. That'll drop him down into third. Massey now looking to see if he can catch Miller.
Now he's got to keep that car under control. Tim Downey gets to the outside of Welker, but he was almost out of control there, but he did find a hole. Unfortunately, the bottom not working out for that old tired number 76, and Ray Massey on newer tires than Jeremy Miller. He gets to the bottom, and he's been making that bottom work. Looks like 1 or 2 more tries, or just 1 try, and he should be clear of Jeremy Miller.
Not totally yet. Miller's making him work for it. He runs the high side, and he drops far enough back. There goes the 23. He's going to go underneath him instead, is behind them. A swap between Halpern and Downey Jr. for third, but Miller can't fight back. He stays in second.
Now, how long can Massey hang on here? Big wiggle on exit.
And almost got pinched. Miller moved up and just about pushed the 26 into the wall. Looks like he's going to give that position up. Didn't feel right about that one. And indeed, the 25 also going to go through.
Now Massey's got to worry because he's cleared those 2 front runners, and now he's got 2 new tired runners behind him, the 26 and the 25, Halpern and Downey. Halpern trying to chase him down here. He's going to have the momentum here. He's going to have far fresher tires, but if Massey holds that bottom, we know the top works, but Massey's doing a good job of defending, at least for now.
This is interesting to watch because initially on this run, Miller didn't seem too bad, but suddenly he's just dropping like a rock, and now we're starting to see the effect of those tires. The 26 is past the 23. Massey couldn't really do much to hold him back, as the 25 going to have a similarly easy time. That looks like a yes to me.
Now it's a fight between the 2 of them. Tim Downey, I feel like we haven't seen him running up front much this season, but good on him for hopping up from 7th to 2nd here. Halpern from 6th to 1st. Halpern, I believe, is one of our winners this season. No, he isn't. Halpern's not won this season. That's Chad Klinger coming down pit road again. It looks like he might have had a little bit of a kiss with the wall once more. And Ben Lafter and Mitch Welker here, they've been stuck side by side. So Lafter clearly maybe a little bit of damage on that car, because I would have thought he would have been able to clear the 76 easily with those fresh tires, but he simply hasn't been able to.
Yeah, I think he got involved in that incident for the last caution, as we almost went 3 wide for a moment. Once again, Welker into the wall. Hodgson thinks about trying to go 3 wide. They do go 3 wide, coming off of turn 4. Hodgson almost loses it, has to catch it. Loses momentum, the 64 with a nose ahead. Once again, the tail wagging on that tide machine, as the 76 can't seem to keep the speed up on the high side. He keeps fighting back. Now he gets ahead of Hodgson, but Hodgson keeps bringing it back in with that shorter distance on the bottom.
Hodgson keeps losing the rear on exit in the bottom, and that's why he can't clear the 76. He finally does this time, but he loses it again. Ay, ay, ay.
And that's another caution. That was some intense racing that went bad, and now it goes worse. That was Lakatos.
That is so unfortunate. Casey was about 14 miles behind the incident. He had no reason to get hit there, and Hodgson just drove down the track straight into him. So that's terrible luck for Casey. There's absolutely nothing the 50 could have done there. Hodgson, he's probably going to get a slap for that one. He's already got heavy damage, and he's probably going to get an EOL penalty to boot, but that was very unfortunate series of events for Mitch Welker, and even more unfortunate for Nolan Hodgson.
The Lemony Snicket with the yellows here today, and as they come off the corner, yeah, just started to lose control, and unfortunately, by the time that he would have caught it, a car was there. And Lakatos on his way to the bottom, seeing the track at the top plugged up. So naturally, he's going to go down there. And by that time, the 95 had already let it drift. So we have, well, is this everybody in? No. Looks like Halpern, Tim Downey Jr. staying out. Massey has pitted. I see Miller in, so no shocker there. 76 of Welker, of course he's pitting, even though he also still needed fresh tires. He had gotten damage from that last run.
So now it will almost be an inverse of what we saw last time. So these guys will be the chasers. They were previously the chasees, but now Halpern and Downey and Evan Adams, who also stays out as well, they're on 23-lap-old tires. These guys are all going to be on freshies. Massey's going to beat them all off pit road. Jeremy Miller going to be chasing him. And everybody else, Finian's going to be stuck in there for a while. Mitch is going to be stuck in there for a while. Nolan Hodgson's going to be stuck in the pits for a while. Looks like Evan Adams is going to come in here on the second time around and just fall to the back. He won't be falling too far to the back. He'll still be 8th because there's only 8 cars left on the lead lap as Casey Lakatos goes a lap down. But yeah, interesting stuff going on here in the pits.
Speaking of interesting, we are now 63 laps into this thing, and we've had 3 cautions, but my goodness, it's all just flown by. So it's amazing how quickly the laps tick off at tracks like Bristol, with the distances being so short. You can see that is Halpern, who is going to be leading the way. 26 on the inside, 25 on the outside. But we still need to have the lights go out before we get running. And is Massey in for a second time here? Wasn't he in before?
Looks like he is. He didn't stop the last time. He missed his pit stall the last time, so that's why he's down in there again. He's got to be careful here. He might miss the start if they don't delay it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. They're doubled up, so he's got to really hustle here. The temperature, by the way, has gone down just a little bit, not a whole lot. Of course, the caution's helping that, as the driver's not putting in nearly as much heat into the surface. So 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And did Massey get back out there? He's just about lining up as the pace car comes in. Halpern has control. Green flag is out. Not as big of a jump as we've seen from Miller. And in fact, Miller is right behind him and going to take second place away from Downey.
Halpern chose the bottom there, unlike Miller, and it hasn't really worked out for him. Miller had something figured out up there. Halpern not in control of the car on these cold tires, getting wiggly on exit every time. And Jeremy Miller, he's not used to being on the bottom here, but he's got to figure out a way to make it work because Halpern's stealing the top from him.
And, you know, it was our pole sitter who started on the bottom at the initial start of the race, and Welker getting into the 25, and it's another big wreck. Laughter gets into it. Oh, and a few cars getting banged up. Evan Adams and Chad Klinger.
I think that was like every car that wasn't already involved in a crash. So we've got about 2 cars that are undamaged here, with Evan and Laughter getting involved. But unfortunately, yeah, Mitch not clear there, just drove up over the nose of Tim Downey Jr. Nothing Tim could have done there, and Evan and Klinger and a couple others involved. Unfortunate, but he clearly thought he was going to be clear, and unfortunately he was not. There was a Tim Downey nose there.
And Welker has officially retired after that one. Pretty big hit. He's been involved in a couple. And yeah, look at how much damage he's getting, just scraping along the wall there. And we are down 3 cars officially, but we also haven't seen Zach Carr back out. David Mott Jr. has been in with about 11, almost 12 minutes of repairs. Nolan Hodgson has been waiting patiently for the last 4 minutes. It's been a bit of an attrition race, unfortunately.
And we've still got 130 more laps of it to go. And also something I just realized I didn't mention in the pre-race show, there's still halfway points here. So while Mitch Welker's disconnected, he was 2 laps down. the likes of Chad Klinger, Nolan Hodgson, who's still around, the guys who are multiple laps down, they're going to be able to score halfway points here because we've only got 8 cars still running on the lead lap, and there's going to be 10 spots for points.
Wow. Yeah, you might as well get the sledgehammer out and try to pound it back into position and see what you can make up here for a little bit, and then maybe park it if you don't feel comfortable trying to continue on, as long as you can finish or get to the halfway within those top 10. So where are our race winners? Chad Klinger is currently in 11th. He's getting a little bit of work done on the car. Carwile's not here. And Finian DeCuna
only finished second at Phoenix, unfortunately. So
that's right. Yeah, so wrong.
Carr and Klinger are our winners, and they're both multiple laps down. So we're guaranteed a new winner tonight, unless by some miracle Klinger can make up 5 laps, which crazier things have happened in racing. If he gets 5 lucky dogs, we get 5 cautions, he could be back up there. So I'm not counting that out, but I think it's more likely that we will get a new winner tonight, and that's always good.
I was just going to say, yeah, 5 cautions is not out of the question if he's in the right position. Because, let's see, we're on caution. Is this 4 or 5? I think this is actually 5, isn't it? And we're not even 100 laps in. So, yeah, if this average continues, even if we don't get any more within the next 30 laps, that we're set for those 5 more cautions. I think we are double file. Yep, we are going green next time by, starting on lap 73. Miller, you have to say, has been looking quite good today. Halpern has been hovering around those top spots, so he could be a threat for the victory, but so far the 30 has led a good chunk of the laps and has had very, very good starts. Halpern, though, electing to use the high side here on this restart, which seems to be the way to go for most. Green flag is out, and he is away. Not as big of a jump, but he is still easily in front of Miller.
Tim Downey in the 25, you can see that that car is absolutely destroyed. He didn't come in to fix damage. He still restarted in 3rd, so he might be in danger here. I hope his engine doesn't blow up while we're out here. Evan Adams underneath him, also heavily damaged, but they're both fighting for 7th place because they're still on the lead lap. Ben Lafter's missing a nose. Ray Massey has a big slice across the side of his car. It's quite the used car lot out on track right now, but you got to stick it out there because they're fighting legitimately for top 10 spots here, even if they are heavily damaged.
Oh, and Halpern, oh, excuse me, no, he was ahead of Miller earlier, but it looked like Miller got quite close, and that threw me off. He's trying that low line, and I was about to say, before we had that last accident there, Joey, on these restarts, I'm thinking that high line might be because of the difficulties that drivers are finding on colder tires, accelerating from the bottom, because remember, our pole sitter car had that issue at the very initial start as the car spins off. That was Hodgson. Are we going to get a caution? Yes, we are.
He was trying to get out of the way, and I think he clipped the apron underneath, so luckily he didn't take out our 2 leaders who were just lapping him, but that is unfortunate for Nolan Hodgson. 16 laps down, single car accident brings out the caution. Did he clip the apron, or did he just screw up the transition? And that is a bizarre place to lose the car, but he pulled it off. Luckily, none of the leaders got into him.
You know, if I'm one of the crew chiefs, I am getting on the radio to these drivers and saying, don't run the bottom on the exit. Stay high, because that has been just about every accident we've seen involving someone on the low side, whether it's trying to drift up into somebody or just losing the car on their own on the exits of corners.
But Jeremy Miller, on the other hand, I thought he was the master of the high line, but he figured out the bottom. He was underneath Halpern before they reached Hodgson there, where he got held up a little bit. So if anybody's figured out the bottom line, it is Jeremy Miller, and I hope we get a little bit longer of a green flag run for him to actually prove that. But as for the moment, he's just kind of had to stick in line here. He hasn't had enough time to make the move.
Well, all these cars with damage too is going to throw off our count on pit stops on tire sets, because we'll have to go back and look and see who has taken them and who has not, because I see at least a couple still on one visit to pit lane. Halpern and Miller. Looks like Tim Downey Jr. Mitchell Welker was one of that has only had one visit, but he's now retired out of the race. Close as well has only been in once, and that lasted 9 minutes. But otherwise, you got a lot of cars. I see 3, I see 5 out there. So it's going to be tough to try and determine who has sets left once we get down to the end.
Well, the question might not be who has tire sets left. It'll be who has a functioning car left, because I can only count two cars, the 2 leaders. Those are the only drivers who haven't run into trouble so far tonight. So they're going to be the dominant cars over the course of the next 120 laps, unless they get into each other. Because Massey is not heavily damaged, but he does have some damage. Laughter is. Finian DeCuna, he's not heavily damaged, but he still has more damage than Massey. Downey's heavily damaged, Licata's is heavily damaged, and everybody else is multiple laps down. Evan Adams, too, who said his engine is a ticking time bomb, by the way, so I don't know if we'll see him for much longer. Hopefully he can make it to halfway, but it's been a race of survival, and it looks like it's going to be a 2-pony show up front.
And I think we have Nolan Hodgson ready to talk to us. He has left the race a little bit early, so let's see if we can chat with the 95 driver. Nolan, sad to see you visiting us so soon. Before we get going to racing here, talk to us about that last incident. What are your thoughts about what happened out on the track between you and the others?
All right, so these transitions, as you guys have been talking about throughout the broadcast, has been one of the trouble spots for me personally. I've been loose the entire night. Almost caused a caution earlier. Getting into somebody did cause a caution. Caused a big wreck, and then went down pit road. My outlap, I spun again. So the transitions have been. They have not been good for me tonight.
It looks like we get a restart. Oh, but this was not a good start, unfortunately, for Halpern, as he falls behind Jeremy Miller, who's trying to fight for the lead. We'll get back to you here in a second, Nolan, but as we come back to racing, it looks like Miller might be able to take this one away, but once again, bottom line, just pinching our drivers, trying to run the shorter distance. The 26 is going to continue to run this side by side as he tries desperately to hold on to that top spot.
And Miller on the bottom, as you mentioned, he's going to be using up his stuff quite a bit more. So while he might be able to get clear of the 26 here if he finally makes this move work, he will have used his tires up quite a bit more. Luckily, he is on 23-lap younger tires, so he has more tire to use. But I think it's a matter of time until he clears Halpern, but he just can't do it. That high line is working so well for Halpern. He's not getting too high. He's not touching the wall. Oh, Miller. That bottom, it's like ice down there. Even Jeremy Miller seems like he's about to lose it down there.
Yeah, we were watching from on board the 23 of Ray Massey as well. And I can't believe this fight has gone on this long. Miller is tenacious today, and he keeps trying, but now he's starting to fall back. I wonder if the good is gone from that rubber running that bottom line. Maybe not. He gets a nose ahead this time.
And I must compliment Ray Massey. I said he might not be in this because he's got a little bit of damage on that car, but clearly he's overcoming it. Halpern finally in the wall, and he...
Oh, no! And Massey clips him. Both of them go spinning, and the pack piles in as the 25 of Tim Downey Jr. can't find a way around. Well, now we've got time to talk to you, Nolan, as it goes back to yellow once again. That was an exciting bit of racing right there. And we saw that it seems like Miller able to hold the bottom, but what is making it so tough to try and run that bottom lane there, Nolan?
Well, honestly, it's the fact of actually staying in that, like, right next to the apron without clipping it. Because if you look closely, there is actually, because the progressive banking, there's actually quite a dramatic transition in the banking there. So if you clip that part of the banking, it's almost a guaranteed spin, the exit of the corner.
Well, plenty of drivers have spun today, so I don't think there's too much shame in falling victim to it, except for just the loss of time and maybe some damaged sheet metal. Based on what you're seeing out there today, is Miller the man to beat, or is there anybody else that seems like a potential dark horse?
I don't know. He seems to be pretty good. Honestly, I was trying to keep my car under me the whole race, so I haven't really been focusing on the other guys too much, but he seems pretty fast. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, again, commiserations that you had to leave early, Nolan, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you out in Dega.
Thanks, guys.
There's Nolan Hodgson, who is already DNF'd here today. And looks like most of our drivers in the pits. Jeremy Miller is going to be out first, and looks like Matthew Close will come out behind him. But, oh, he is a lap down, so excuse me, that's not for position. It is Ben Laughter who will be out second.
Jeremy Miller is now the only car in the field who doesn't have significant damage. After we wiped out Ray Massey, we wiped out, I don't even know, so many drivers. I don't even remember who was fighting at that point. Zach Halpern, that's who it was. They've both got significant damage. Second place, Ben Laughter, significantly damaged. And Casey Lakatos, the driver who our guests kind of drove into under caution there, he's up to fourth place. Third place, actually, as Finian lets him by here. So he got the lucky dog a couple cautions ago, and by some miracle, I don't think he expected to be back up in third, but he is, and maybe he's got a shot at second here.
Yeah, so let's see. Is Halpern going to be able to stay on the lead lap in that 26? I think he is right now, but the pace car is just coming out of 4. Halpern is not moving, and now he's rolling, and he's out in time. So we retain 5 cars on the lead lap. That's it. 5 cars are out there running on the same lap as Jeremy Miller. Everybody else has been lapped once or more in this race, and honestly, it looks like what we have, is it down to 8 still on track right now?
There's a few still in the session. David Mott Jr., Zach Carr, who are double digits laps down, are in the pits. It looks like we've got 11 cars left, because Close is out there, Klinger's out there, 10 actually, because Massey's still in the pits, and Downey, so 9. 9. That's it. Single digits.
As we go green flag racing once again, Miller able to get ahead of Ben Laughter. Finian Takuna in the 94. They're in third, being chased by Lakatos, who we were talking about before. But how about Matthew Close trying to get some of these lap backs? Remember, these drivers who are a lap down don't want to fight too hard, but at the same time, they want to try and get themselves in a position to get that lucky dog. Look at how far ahead the 30 has gotten. It's only been a couple laps of green.
I think Finian Takuna might actually be the driver in best shape here, other than Jeremy Miller, because I'm looking at that car. He did take a bite out of the inside wall. He does have that scrape, but that car is essentially pristine compared to some of the others. He should be able to sweep around Ben Laughter here nice and easy, but can he catch his teammate Jeremy Miller is another question. He's got his other teammate Casey Lakatos, who's going to follow him through here. Finian's going to be in really good shape here out of nowhere.
Oh, and behind them somebody slips up. That was Matthew Close, who gets close to the wall but does not hit it, I don't think, and he saved it before disaster struck. Laughter continuing to struggle, as already overtaken by Takuna. Lakatos quickly to his rear bumper and filling his mirrors.
Also, I must apologize. Jeremy Miller, not a teammate of Finian and Casey, so it is not a Sim Motorsports 1-2-3. It's a Sim Motorsports 2-3. Could be a 1-2 if they are able to drive their way forward, but unfortunately for them, it is a 1.9 second gap between Jeremy Miller and Finian Takuna. So that undamaged car, it is looking pristine, and Jeremy Miller, I think it's going to take an act of God for him to lose this race somehow.
And we just hit our halfway mark, and you said only 9 were running, so I guess we don't give away the last point for 10th place on that one, do we?
I mean, I guess it goes to Ray Massey because he's in the pits, and Tim Downey Jr. gets 2 points because he was also in the pits at 9th. I don't know. Maybe they have to get back out on track and complete a lap, but at least the top 8 are guaranteed to get points.
Indeed, and as we watch Lakatos now get overtaken by Klinger, who is also not on the same lap. This is almost looking a little bit like a multi-class race, trying to keep track of who is actually racing who.
Yeah, Casey's trying to navigate his way through the used car lot here. Chad Klinger is 5 laps down, so he's not really racing anybody. Ben Laughter is his next target. Casey's car, just from the outside, looks like it's less damaged, but clearly Ben Laughter is running a little bit well, or a little bit better. Maybe a little bit of weight saving. He's lost the hood of his car, so he's a little bit lighter. I don't know. But Casey is not catching him at all, and he's just stuck in a Matthew Close, Chad Klinger sandwich here.
And Ben Laughter, with his lack of pace, is also being run down by that lapped car. Once he gets overtaken, then Lakatos could maybe try and get back into it side by side between Lakatos and Close. And I think, is Close chasing Klinger? No, he's not on the same lap as him. Oh, careful, boys. Remember, this is not for position. You can let him go there, Casey.
Just kind of, maybe he's just trying to have fun here because he's not racing anybody on track. Nobody really is. Chad Klinger, with no nose, is about to get by Ben Laughter, and maybe he's on a journey to get one of his laps back. It'll be a tough order to make up those 5.5 seconds to get up to Jeremy Miller. Probably an impossible order if I would say so myself. But he's trying his best. He's trying to amuse himself here. With only 5 cars in the lead lap, there's not much else you can do. But my question would be, we've got 89 laps left to go. I'm not sure if they can make it to the end on green flag running. They might have to make a green flag pit stop. And if that happens, is that what opens up the door for these 4 used cars to defeat Jeremy Miller? I don't know, because even the finest of green flag pit stop strategy probably can't make up 5.7 seconds.
You really think we're going to get green all the way to the finish on this one?
There's so few cars, and none of them are racing each other. I think it's a pretty realistic expectation. But on the other hand, we have seen some single car incidents. Luckily, there's only about 8 cars left, and by virtue of them still being here, that tells us that they haven't really been losing it. But I don't know. There's still 85 laps to go. Anything can happen, but it's going to take a miracle, like I said, to get Jeremy Miller out of the win here.
We were watching the 64 for a bit of Ben Laughter, and I was thinking about it, and I wonder if his experience in that Camel GT series is actually coming in handy here at this track. He hasn't been able to completely stay out of trouble, but so much of that multi-class road series with the vintage sports cars is about staying out of trouble and avoiding the chaos that always erupts in those. So I feel like Ben Laughter kind of has that to his credit, knowing how to stick with it the way he has, and that maybe is what's put him in a podium position if he can hold off Lakatos, who's now caught back up to him finally.
Well, remember back at Martinsville, the first race we had here on GSRC, he finished second with a car that had no front end and no rear end. So just got by Clifton Cockrell there. I think Clifton Cockrell's blew up, so I think he's done. I know he's back out on track, so who knows what happened to him. We'll look at him later. But Ben Laughter, he sticks with it. He never gives up, and he's reaping the favors of that because he's in third. He's holding off Casey Lakatos, who's probably not being as aggressive as he could be. And as I say that, there he goes. Looks like it'll be an easy move eventually if he can stick down there.
But that bottom line, that's the danger zone right there. And the car doesn't get the launch off the corner. I think he's going to have to try something else because this low line attempt to pass is actually pushing him backwards behind Matthew Close, who now is finally through. And now he jumps up to the high line. So maybe he could use the 92 as a bit of a pick. If the 92 can get around the outside, then he can follow him. But even Matthew Close is going to try and go to the bottom to get his lap back.
Well, he's got 25 of them to get back, so I don't know how happy Ben Laughter is going to be about the 92 racing him. Update on Zach Halpern. Unfortunately, he's been lapped and the 92 gets out of the way here. So it will be a straight fight between Lakatos and Laughter here for third. Close is out of the way, and Halpern has been lapped by Jeremy Miller, who we just see now, and he's about to lap Lakatos and Laughter, and 2 seconds up the road from them is Finian. He's going to lap everybody.
He is about to become the only car in the lead lap. This is becoming an old school NASCAR race. Are we going to see a 5-lap difference at the line at the end of this race? Ooh, and a little squirrely from the 50 this time. Lakatos still playing with fire, trying to make the pass on the bottom side. But we also have the 30 now trying to lap both of them. He's just running his own race. He's been able to manage the bottom line better than many. He already got Lakatos there, and is he going to get the 64? It looks like it.
I was worried for a second there, and I think Jeremy was too, with how close Lakatos and Laughter were getting in front of him, but he does clear both of them. Now he's just got one more guy up there, and he will truly be the only car in the lead lap, but this battle between Laughter and Lakatos is far from over. Clifton Cockrell's in the way a little bit. He just came through the pits. That's why he was slow on the bottom. We've got a 4-car battle here. Only 2 of them are actually for position, and one of them's actually for the lucky dog now because they're not even on the lead lap. So hopefully these guys don't come to blows, but there's a lot of cars in a small space here, and they've kept out of trouble so far, but not everybody has so far tonight.
Watch that 50 mid-corner. I've noticed, yeah, right there, multiple times he's very strong in the middle of it. This time he manages to cut underneath. Is he going to try a slide job? He's going to get it, and Laughter has to fall off the podium as Lakatos finally gets into P3. That's after starting 16th today.
And these guys are on equally aged tires, so whether that's the difference between the driver or the difference between the car damage, Casey Lakatos is just streaking away in third place now. I wonder, does he have anything for his actual teammate, Finian Dacuna, who is how many seconds ahead now? 2.9. So once Jeremy Miller laps Finian and Casey will be on the same lap, so they'll actually be fighting for second and fighting for the lucky dog if by some miracle the caution comes out again.
Oh, Jeremy Miller is the Bristol Whisperer today. Nobody else seems to be able to handle this track. And he gets underneath Dacuna, making him now the only car on the lead lap. 135 currently for the number 30 machine. Well, and that's the first little problem we've seen out of Jeremy Miller on the bottom side off the corners. So he is not immune to mistakes either.
Yeah, he's done that a couple times down there. Good on him for being able to save it, but if he lost that after lapping the entire field, that would have just been the most tragic of comedy. But right now, it's truly the Bristol stomp from Jeremy Miller, and I don't even know what he's going to be doing in the cockpit now. He's got nobody to race. He's got a lap over the whole field. It's just practice now.
Here's the irony. If he did spin and bring out the caution, does the pace car pick him up? Because he's the only one on the lead lap. But he's the one that caused the caution. So I'm very curious what would happen here if he does have a single car incident as the only car on the lead lap. We're into kind of unknown territory for me. I've seen all kinds of strange situations, but I don't think that's one I've witnessed before. As we come back to Zach Halpern, and man, Laughter seems to be struggling a bit. Halpern has already got by him. Ben now down into 5th.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was able to hold off Casey Lakatos for that long, because like you said, he is struggling. He's lost the position to Casey, he lost it to Zach Halpern, and he's just falling back. So I don't know if he lost a cylinder or what, but Ben Laughter is just plummeting further back, and he's got nothing for Halpern right now. He's losing about a second per lap.
And, you know, a frequent thing that we've heard about these next-gen Cup cars is drivers having to manage those temperatures. I wonder if that's what's going on here. If the 64, with his damage, it can't run at full tilt.
That's possible, and we heard from Evan Adams that his car was like a ticking time bomb after the damage he took. So neither of them have exploded yet, but that might be a possibility here. They're trying to run as long as they possibly can before these things explode. I guess it really is like an old school NASCAR race. They're just running the engines to their limits and just hoping to run as long as humanly possible, and maybe they'll make it to the finish.
By the way, you saw Evan Adams in the 59 behind Ben Laughter. While that is a fight for position, it is also not. Ben is a lap ahead of Evan, so he still has to come around one more time before he's able to take that spot. In the meantime, Casey Lakatos, is he going to be losing this podium spot with Halpern starting to approach? What have the lap times been looking like between them? Halpern with a 15.1, 15.4, Lakatos with a 15.5, 15.6. Yeah, Halpern's coming.
He is coming, but he did tap the wall on exit that time. So is he going to be able to make it up to Lakatos? You can see the lap comparison there. He's been quite a bit faster these past couple laps, but that last lap, he hit the outside wall, and that equaled him out. That time they just crossed the line. Halpern did pick up another 10th. So maybe Casey's got another issue with temperatures in that car, or maybe his tires are falling off, or whatever. But whatever's going on with that car, he is falling back. And Zach Halpern, with no nose, which seems to be the case for about 75% of the field, is really chasing down Casey Lakatos here.
And the 50 just glanced the wall as well there through 1 and 2. So he's trying to push it. He knows that Halpern is looking quick here. Oh, another little bobble as Casey seems to be losing the tires. This is, I think, the longest green flag run we've had so far. And there goes Halpern down underneath. Yeah, I think Casey's rubber is given up.
Now, how long does he wait to bring it into the pits? Because if he pits now and gets a couple green flag laps in, can he make up some time on Miller? Can he maybe just eke his way onto the edge of the lead lap again? Or maybe jump Finian? I don't know, but if these drivers are going to consider it, Casey just lost it on the exit of the corner. I thought he was going into the wall. But if I'm one of these drivers who's a lap down, I would honestly be considering pitting right now, because with Ben Laughter now 2 laps down, with Evan Adams 3 laps down, you're probably not going to lose very much, and you'll have fresh rubber to at least try something.
Yeah, absolutely. You got nothing to lose if you're everybody but Jeremy Miller at this point. 48 laps to go, but still not seeing anybody blink. The youngest tires out on the track right now, Clifton Cockrell at 35 laps old, but he's 6 laps down in that number 28 machine.
Looks like there's even younger tires on Ray Massey, but he is 53 laps down. So are those tires doing much to make up for the car that has no nose and no rear end? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's
sticking it out there. So I don't know if he's going to be able to make anything up, because everybody ahead of him's on track, but he's in the top 10.
Who's that down low?
Oh, Evan.
Oh, yep, Evan Adams there. And, oh, he's the first to blink. I think, unless he had an incident with the wall. Oh, he did. So this was forced. I thought maybe he was going to take a gamble and pit in, but he did hit the inside wall. So he had some damage, no doubt, and looks like he might as well decide this is a good time to pit in and get some tires. And it's the same old story that we have witnessed many a time.
It was actually a little bit more egregious that time, because he hit the apron. I think he was just trying to stay out of the way as much as he could of Close and Laughter. And unfortunately, he clipped the apron, and there's no saving it when you clip the apron. He's going to bring it down pit road here. He didn't hit the wall that hard, so he shouldn't have to sit in the pits for very long. And he will have fresh tires, but he's going to be 3 laps behind Laughter now. So he might be fighting with Klinger and Cockrell if he can get out in time, but if not,
he's on a long stop. I think he's having to repair damage.
Yeah, he had that terrible engine problem. He thought it was a ticking time bomb. He might just be sitting in there to get those required repairs. And he's guaranteed a top 10, so good on him for getting out there, and maybe in 40 laps time he'll have those couple spots back. 30
seconds, 32 exactly, after his stop is done. So it's about twice as long as the normal one. Definitely had to get something fixed, but he's on what we assume is fresh tires and with a full tank of fuel to take him to the end from here. As this is Dacuna starting to run away from Halpern, or actually no, it was Lakatos that Halpern was battling with. So is Dacuna being caught?
Yeah, Halpern's chasing him down. I don't know where this has come from, but Zach Halpern He struck past Casey Lakatos, and now he's chasing down Finian. It's down to 0.6 of a second. He's doing the same thing he did to the previous car. He's about 0.2 a lap faster than Dacuna. So I don't know what Zach Halpern has done here. Is he just saved tires right under our noses and he's using all of it at the end here? Whatever he's done, it's working for him, and he's probably going to be up to second here.
The only car I think that's faster than him right now is Jeremy Miller. So yeah, I think Halpern's got a legitimate shot at second place. He's certainly flirting with that wall through 3 and 4 as he comes up behind Evan Adams, who's trying to stay out of the way. This has been laughter also that Adams slides in front of. Looks like Dacuna is going to get through on the 64, and unfortunately, that will not help. He tries to go to the bottom to defend as Halpern is now there.
Did you see those fresh tires on Evan Adams? Look at how far ahead he's streaked away. They're battling for second for position here, but that last lap for Evan Adams was a 14.4. The last lap for these guys was a 15.6, so with 33 laps to go, if I'm Casey Lakatos and I pit here, I don't think you'll be able to make that up because it's a 53-second stop because you got to go through both lanes. But I don't know, would it be worth it if you're like Ben Laughter and just to try something, just to get some fresh tire, just to get some fresh rubber, just to get some fresh running? I don't know. I would consider it if I was not really in the fight for the podium here, but these two, they can't really blink. They're fighting for this position on track, and clearly they're good to the end because they're showing no signs of having to come in here.
Yeah, even still, you've got to make up what you lose 2 laps with a pit stop. That's 30 seconds that you've got to make up with that fresh rubber, and we're down to 30 laps to go. So I think you've basically got to lay in the bed that you've made, unless they do have to come in for fuel here. It'll be a splash and dash at this point because there's just not many laps left, and if you don't have the tires, try and make up for it. Another little glance against the wall from Finian.
And Jeremy Miller's coming up here to lap these two for the second time, so he might be able to make a green flag pit stop and still come out ahead of everybody. He's got no reason to, but in the near future, he will be chasing down second and third and putting them 2 laps down. But they're still fighting. Halpern doesn't seem to be able to find a way by, but he is very, very close. But good on Finian. He's picking just that kind of middle line, goes up to the top line. He's preventing Halpern from finding a way by. And as I say that, Halpern tries the bottom. Is it going to work? No, because Finian hangs tough on the high side and Halpern's in the wall.
He just missed it. He managed to catch it in time. I think he did anyways.
I think he might have scraped it again, but unfortunately, the only thing that's going to be hurt there is his chances of beating Finian to second place here, because he's lost a good 1.5 seconds there. He might be able to chase him back down, but he hadn't proven that he had the ability to make the pass, so now he's got a 1.5 seconds to make up and a little bit more damage on the inside of the car.
Well, this is a huge relief for Finian Dacuna, because I imagine that will hurt the speed at least a little bit on Zach and give him breathing space to try and settle himself down and put in the laps to deny Zach that second position. Is this the second time that Finian will get a P2, or has he finished there before so far this season? I need to check the stats on that.
Yeah, he finished there at Phoenix, which was another strange race, but he got there with the tire strategy, did a great job of conserving them, and clearly, again, he's done a great job of staying out of trouble one way or another, and he's still alive, and if Halpern can't get past him, he will be on the road for another second place. So it's another good run for Finian, and consistency is key with him.
Well, Jeremy Miller just plugs away up at the front, the most consistent of everybody. Let's see, how far is Dacuna ahead? And he actually hasn't caught Halpern either yet. Here we hop on with the magenta number 30 machine. You can see both of them in our shot here. And he doesn't have to lap them for a second time. You know, we thought that they weren't good until the end, but I'm starting to question that. We're down to less than 20 laps to go and still not seeing any motions from anybody other than Adams to take a pit stop. So I think this is basically the last cruise to the checkers.
And Finian's got to start worrying here because I thought Halpern was kind of out of it. He was a second and a half back, but he has clawed that back almost instantaneously, and he's right on the back of him again. He's like 0.2 a lap faster than the 94, but can he actually clear him this time is the question.
And yeah, it's the old adage that we always talk about in racing. It's one thing to catch a car, it's another to pass him. And if he has to do it on the bottom side, well, he almost got bit by it once. Is he going to be a little gun shy this time? Is he going to have to force his way up to the high side?
I don't think Finian's going to leave a hole up there, so he's going to have to try the bottom again, but he's just going to have to keep the car under him and not lose it over the transition. Maybe learn something from Jeremy Miller, who's been able to use that bottom, as he's going to come and put them both 2 laps down. That might actually be the way he gets by. If he can use Jeremy as a little bit of a pick, as Finian gets loose there, Jeremy down to the bottom. If the 26 can maybe follow Miller down to the bottom under Dacuna, he might have a shot here, but no, he's gonna block him a little bit. I don't know what he's trying to pull off here, but that's not gonna work.
Oh, and, well, Finian's going to go to the bottom. He does give him the high side. The 26 is through, and this is perilous for the 30. He is watching this battle in front of him, and I have to imagine he's thinking, I can't get involved here like that, as he gives a punch to the back of Finian, and now he backs off of it.
He's not going to be too angry because there's 11 to go, and he's got a lap on both of these guys, but that would have been a scary moment for the 30. Is he going to get by him this time? And he's got Evan Adams on those really fresh tires. So this is quite perilous. One mistake, and he might just lose this win. He's got the race under control. He might just be best off letting these guys go and cruising behind him. But he wants to have that statistic of lapping the whole field twice, and he's still trying.
And now they're coming up on Ben Laughter, and that will actually act as a pick. And Dacuna almost lost it coming off of 4 there. He did keep it together in the end. So one last car that he needs to lap with 9 laps to go. Zach Halpern in the 26, a 2-lap advantage. The 26 bobbles. There's the door. Miller steps through. 2 laps down the entire field as Jeremy Miller has schooled them all.
Now can Halpern hang on here? Finian's hoping that Halpern makes another bobble and he can make up that second, but Halpern, he just has the speed and he's pulling away. Evan Adams on those fresh tires, maybe with 7 to go, if he can get by both of these guys, he might have a shot at being a pick and slowing down Halpern for Finian to catch him, but I don't know. I think the battle might be over for second here.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. 5 laps to go. Here's the other crazy thing. Once we get to 2 laps to go for Jeremy Miller, or I guess 1 lap to go, then it's going to be even more difficult. They have to hope for a catastrophic wreck for Jeremy, because just a spin will not do it here as we go side by side. Evans on the outside of Dacuna, continue to try to get laps back. We're down to 4 laps to go, 3 rather already. They're going by so incredibly fast. We're less than a minute out now from the checkered flag here today. Miller is basically on his lonesome out on the track. We've got so few cars left. Look at that. There's nobody around, so he can just kind of coast on to the line from here as we hop on board. White flag being held out by Barney as he now waves it for Jeremy Miller. His last lap around. It's going to be our 7th different winner here in the Outsider Racing League. And the number 30 has put on the most dominant performance of the season yet here at Bristol. Fireworks go off with Halpern in second, Dacuna in third, Lakatos just off the podium. Laughter, though, with the top 5. Got to be at least somewhat satisfied with that, considering he qualified well down the order. But it looks like Miller is going to get a chance to celebrate on the front stretch, so we are going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We compared it earlier to an old school NASCAR race, and Jeremy Miller has beaten the field by a full 2 laps out here. Just stomped them. And there you can see Zach Halpern came home behind him in second as Finian DeCuna rounds out the podium. Casey Lakatos from 16th to 4th was matched by Ben Laughter, but one less, I should say, 15th to 5th. 2 less, rather, as Chad Klinger finished in 6th and Evan Adams was 7th. Then you've got Clifton Cockrell 10 laps down at the end in 8th. Last driver to finish this race was Matthew Close in 9th with Ray Massey, our first DNF, in 10th.
Then it was Tim Downey Jr., 108 laps down, but I think he brought it home. I don't know if he finished in the pits or what, but he was 11th. Mitch Welker wrecked himself and somebody else. Nolan Hodgson wrecked himself and somebody else. David Mott Jr., unfortunately, involved in a couple incidents. He kind of went under the radar. I didn't remember seeing which one took him out, but Jeff Wright, Zach Carr, Caleb Weekly, and Dylan Butler rounded out your field. Dylan Butler didn't even start the race, but he was still only 7 laps behind Caleb Weekly. And it looks like we've got our lone survivor, the 2-lapper, the Bristol Stomper, Jeremy Miller, is with Joe.
Jeremy, 2 laps ahead of your nearest rival at the checkered flag. I get the sense towards the end of that race that was intentional, that you were trying to get as many laps as you could on them.
Yeah, I mean, I figured once I put the 1 down, that was really cool. I've never done something like that before. And then I thought, well, if a yellow comes out, somebody's going to get the lucky dog and get tires. So best case scenario for me, in my opinion, was to try to put them 2 down, because then even a yellow couldn't put somebody back on my lap. And I was going for that. And at a certain point, it also just kind of a goal for myself, since I wasn't really racing anybody. It was just to lap them as much as I could.
A big problem today for many of the drivers was staying out of trouble. So many had to come down for repairs after getting involved in an accident or spinning themselves. What was the secret to keeping away from that? Because I think you were the only one that doesn't have a scratch on that thing.
Honestly, it was just running up front. I mean, I didn't do anything too special. I had pace. I was leading the beginning stages of the race before anybody even had their issues. I think I led the first lap after starting second even. Just staying in front of the mess. I had one stint where I got shuffled a little at track position with tires, but it was kind of spread out and just never was really put in harm's way too much.
Well, you're the 7th different winner, but we're going to flip the script and head to Talladega, a much longer track, and it's going to be a little more difficult to try and stretch away from all of your rivals. How do you fancy your chances at getting a twofer there?
Pretty good. My nickname across the sim, especially in leagues like ORL, is the Plate Goat. I've won all my league races other than 2 now at plate tracks. Pretty good record anytime we go to Dega or Daytona, so I think I can see myself up front, but you never know. Some people get working together well, and I don't have a partner out there. They could definitely find themselves a victory lane as well.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on you then. You will be a threat. Anybody you want to thank for today's just incredible victory?
Yeah, my teammates, Zach and Matt, and then Connor Horn showed up to spot me late there. I spotted him over on the RTP side of things. We sadly missed out on advancing to the Xfinity cars, but we're going to be back at it next season, trying again. He was helping me out tonight as well, and just thank my family down in Florida who's out there watching and supporting me every week.
Great stuff there from the 30 of Jeremy Miller. And up next, I believe Joey has caught up with Zach Halpern.
Well, Zach, my first question would be, have you ever finished second place in a race 2 laps down? I might have to take that as a no if Zach is here with us, but there was something in that car at the end of that race. Even though you had no front end, no rear end, you were moving your way through Finian and Casey like they were not even there. Passed your way up to second place. How'd you do it? And I think the lack of response was a lack of Zach Halpern. Zach, can you hear us?
You got me now?
Now we do. Welcome, Zach Halpern.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's up with my mic sometimes.
Oh, trust me, I can relate, but I'll repeat my question. Have you ever finished second place in a race multiple laps down? I assume the answer is no, because this was uncharted territory, but how is it inside the cockpit to be literally racing for a podium while being multiple laps down?
Yeah, it was a frustrating night. I knew I had good speed and I could have been contending for the win. I was holding off Jeremy there on older tires for a little bit and just made a slight mistake and got in the wall. But I'm really happy we were still able to pull away with a second. Again, I want to give a big shout out to Tim because he's always in the back, like he's in my ear saying, "Don't let it snowball, don't let it snowball." And I used to be really bad with that, and I actually had an oil temp issue where I was about to blow up on that green flag run, and I had to go half throttle for a while, and it kind of just leveled out and saved my tires and just kept going easy. Had a couple slip ups, but we managed to pull in second, get a little bit of a points catch up in points to the top two, and good night overall. Though I'm happy, even though I didn't win.
Yeah, by my calculations, with your second place finish, you should be able to jump up to second here. So you will jump ahead of Ray Massey. How are you feeling championship wise? There's only a few or half the season left. So we're halfway down. You're in second. Are you feeling like you can hang on to this in the second half?
Yeah, we were really fast here at Downey Enterprises, and I'm really proud of how we're doing this season with the new car. And like, we had no clue how it was going to be coming into the season, and it seems to be working out pretty well in our favor right now. And you know, Tim's won a championship before, and he has what it takes. So I know I just got to listen to him and try to make it to the end and be in contention at the end, because I know that with these tracks in the playoffs, I have a solid chance at winning a championship.
And you've been so consistent over the course of the season. It's kind of funny to me that we haven't seen you in victory lane yet. It feels like you've been on the podium multiple times. Do you think maybe Talladega next week is your first ticket to victory lane?
You know, I wouldn't say I have the best luck compared to some of these drivers. I always say if I had 25% of the luck that some of these drivers had, I'd probably get a couple more wins every single season. But, you know, sometimes going to a track that takes all the luck is all you need, and sometimes things just go your way. And with those past 2 weeks where I got wrecked with netcode and then that big wreck at Chicago that I just couldn't miss, and still managing to finish top 10 or 11th at Dover and 10th this week or last week at Chicago, and then second this week with a wrecked race car, maybe our luck will turn around. But I'd rather have bad luck now and, you know, start saving that good luck for hopefully the playoffs.
Well, congrats on your second place finish tonight. You have anyone you want to thank before we kick you out of here?
Yeah, just a big shout out to Downey Enterprises and Tim again. I appreciate everything he's done for me and helped me in my iRacing career. One of my buddies, Dylan, you know, I needed a pick me up, and he definitely did that for me today. So I appreciate him, and I appreciate you guys for the great broadcast you do. Always a pleasure talking to you when I get on a podium, and maybe I'll talk to you with a win one day. And shout out to the admins as well. You know, Brian Supernatural Chambliss and Andrew, and especially David, man. David's a really cool guy, and I really appreciate him. He's done a lot for this league. So other than that, though, man, I appreciate you guys too.
Well, we appreciate you putting on a show. Congrats on second, and we'll see you next week at Talladega. Looks like we got one more driver with us. The driver who was in second for the majority of this race got passed by Halpern at the end there, but third placed, Funyon de Cunyon, is with Joe Peak.
Finian, congratulations on the podium, but it certainly wasn't without mistakes out there. You were one of those that slipped up at one point and smacked the wall. We can see the damage on the left side on a replay here. After you had that happen, did that change the way that you raced the rest of the race?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to say that my lack of speed was due to the car handling. I feel like it was, because I actually felt like decently fast earlier on before I got the damage. After that, I really felt the car never drove the same. But yeah, I think a bit surprised though to be 2 laps down. I was amazed to hear the first time that I was asking Casey where was Jeremy on the track. I hear, he's about to lap me, and I see that Casey's 5 seconds behind me. I was like, oh, okay, he's going a lot quicker than I thought. But yeah, I absolutely had nothing for him.
even still, it was a good fight at the end between yourself and Zach Halpern. Did you think you could have held him back in the end if things had gone a little bit differently, or was that something you'd kind of resigned that he seemed to have just enormous pace on you?
It was interesting with Zach because the first time he actually came up to me, I actually thought he had passed me because I saw the 23 Ray Massey. I saw him blitz by. I didn't see that Zach's like kind of did a spin in the mirror in my mirror, like kind of fell off the track and fell back. So I thought he actually completely checked out for me. I saw the car driving off in the distance was Zach, but I saw it was Ray. And then I ended up looking a few laps later. I see Zach coming up behind me again. I was like, oh, so I was just on such autopilot mode. It didn't even occur to me. And when Zach caught up to me, I was genuinely surprised that he was struggling to get past me. So I was trying to put up a fight, but especially when we got back to when we was I think Ben, Jeremy, and Evan, when we were all together, I was trying to keep track because I know some of them that were faster with faster tires, some of them were slower. Like Ben, he was struggling with his older tires, and I was trying to keep them all in check and keep Zach in behind, but I was trying to come down a lane to keep everyone managed, and the car was just breaking loose. So I said, I'm just going to back out of this. I don't want to wreck everyone else that's fighting in this race out. So I just backed out of it and just kind of let it go. Tried to chase him back at the end too, and then I almost spun again. I'll just settle for third.
Well, we've now had 7 races and these next-gen cars under our belt this season, and we're getting ever closer to seeing them finally get unleashed in real life. What are your thoughts so far? Is there anything that you'd like to see changed about them before they get put on the track in the real world?
Slap 900 horsepower on them. I think it'd be a little better. 900 to 1,000. I mean, I respect what they're doing, but I just don't like the way these things drive. I'm referring to NASCAR. I respect what they're doing with this, but they just don't drive like how they used to. I'm going to even the Xfinity car, especially the COT2. The car is just ripping around, being able to go everywhere, having a lot of power to work with. It just does. It's a lot better than what this car is, in my opinion.
It's the first time I've heard someone praise the car of tomorrow, if I'm honest.
I guess that shows how far we've fallen. Maybe.
Oh, boy. Well, NASCAR, please don't watch this. As we close up, is there anybody you want to thank for tonight's podium?
Yes, because thank Casey for working with me, dealing with me during the race. We're just kind of having fun in the second half of the race because we weren't really fighting for much at that point. But an awesome teammate, awesome guy to race with. And I guess I'll thank Kyle Hyre, who was with us in the chat too, just hanging out with us. So got to thank him, co-commentator on SimTV with him. So and great friend as well.
That was Finian Dacuna, our third place finisher in the number 94 here today. And that's going to wrap up our interviews. So, of course, we are going to give a big thank you to the Outsiders Racing League for bringing us on for coverage of this season. And also want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that you see listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp page for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Joey, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next race will be at Talladega, Saturday, November 6th at 9:50 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.